In the wake of the Jalen Brunson injury, there is a New York Knicks player who's not getting the respect that he deserves, and we got to throw some respect on his name, as well as give an update to the Jalen Brunson recovery timetable. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Knicks Basketball 365. If you're a New York Knicks fan, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a ton. But getting into the news for today, just quickly, we're going to start off with, from Knicks insider Ian Begley, Jalen Brunson's ankle has been upgraded to questionable for tomorrow's game versus the Dallas Mavericks, announced by the New York Knicks themselves. This coming out just a couple hours ago. So Jalen Brunson, we heard that after rolling his ankle Friday night against the Miami Heat, he was going to be day-to-day with an ankle injury. Jalen Brunson is someone who rolls his ankle, unfortunately, kind of a lot. We get worried every single time, but the dude just absolutely bosses up, fights through it every single time, and he's going to be back on the court for the New York Knicks pretty soon. We've been starting Deuce McBride in his place, and he's been going off, but soon we will be relegating Deuce McBride back to the bench as Jalen Brunson, if he's not back versus the Dallas Mavericks, you'd have to imagine that he'll be back on Wednesday or pretty soon, sometime this week. But getting into what I actually need to be talking about in this video, coming from Sports Illustrated, the Knicks are one of the better teams in the league, but yet players like Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns garnish most of the attention when, in all honesty, Bridges deserves the same level of attention as his all-star teammates. In Mike Brown's offense, there's tremendous ball movement, players moving off the ball, and three-point shooting at will, especially in the corners, in which Mikal Bridges is thriving. In 7 of the 13 games this season, he has hit at least 3 from beyond the arc, including 2 games in which he drained 4. Bridges has proven he's a reliable option this season, scoring in double digits in 12 out of 13 games and doing so efficiently. Now, I do agree and want to talk about how Mikal Bridges is not getting the respect and the love from the Knicks fan base this season that he deserves, but saying that he needs the same amount of, hype as Jalen Brunson is just factually incorrect. Jalen Brunson is an all-world NBA player, top 10 player in the league, the best player on the New York Knicks, the team captain. No one's getting the same level of love as Jalen Brunson is getting. And frankly, no one deserves it. Mikal Bridges, great player, and he fits what Mike Brown is doing with this offense really, really well, but he doesn't deserve the same respect as Jalen Brunson. Now, where he does deserve respect is, that was a very important point, saying how in Mike Brown's three-point shooting offense, Mikal Bridges is someone who thrives shooting three-pointers, specifically from the corner. OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges are, year in and year out, 2 of the NBA's best corner three-point shooters. Now, OG Anunoby is going to be dealing with his hamstring injury at least for 2 more weeks before he gets reevaluated. So we are going to have to get more three-point shooting, and especially from the corner. But fortunately, Mikal Bridges is going to be able to fill in and help us out in that gap. Now, getting a bit more from Sports Illustrated, they wrote, with Jalen Brunson nursing a grade 1 ankle sprain, expected back soon, and OG Anunoby missing a few weeks due to a hamstring strain, Bridges will become a viable role on offense. Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns will be expected to lead the team in scoring until their teammates return. This is where we can see Bridges potentially showcase his true offensive promise like he did in Brooklyn 3 seasons ago. Now, of course, in 3 seasons ago with Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges averaged a ton of points, something like, I believe it was 23.4 points per game. And now, playing with a better team in the New York Knicks, he's not going to be able to get to that level of scoring. This season, he's putting up 16.2 points per game, 4.4 rebounds per game, 4.8 assists per game, while shooting 50%. So shooting 50% from the field is something that you love to see. Efficient scoring is what everyone needs from a player who is the 3rd option on a championship caliber team. Now, the scoring is going to be lower just because we have so many scoring options on this team, with Jalen Brunson being who he is, Karl-Anthony Towns being who he is, and then off the bench, the Knicks have a bunch of players who can get hot on any given night. You can see Jordan Clarkson go off for 25 points or more. You can watch Landry Shamet go off for 37, I guess. I had no idea that was in his bag. I don't think anyone thought Landry Shamet had that in his bag. That was an absolutely insane night to get that win in the same night that our OG Anunoby went down with an injury. That was amazing to see. But we got to make sure that we are figuring out other guys that are going to be able to step up and run this Mike Brown offense when Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby are out. I'm now realizing I said Jalen Brunson got hurt in Friday night's game against the Miami Heat. That was, of course, incorrect. He got hurt before that. But what's important now is that we have the right guys to fill in behind that. Mikal Bridges is awesome because not only does he bring the chemistry with the other, I guess the only one Villanova guy left that when Jalen Brunson's hurt and Dante DiVincenzo's traded, not only does he have that chemistry with Josh Hart, he is a phenomenal defender and he is that phenomenal three-point threat that I think we've talked about enough in this video. You love the defensive prowess from Mikal Bridges because right now this team is giving up way too many points on defense. We have to remember when the offensive pace picks up for the New York Knicks, that means we are going to be scoring more and we're also going to be giving our opponents more possession. So you can't just look one-to-one. It's not apples to apples when we compare this season's New York Knicks defense to last season's, because last season's Knicks teams were not seeing as many possessions per game, which is what helped them keep the overall score down. What you have to look at to figure out how effective these defenses are would be looking at defensive rating. And you may say, wow, right now would probably be a great time to put up the defensive ratings in the video. But unfortunately, I didn't think about that before when I was preparing this video. But we got to do better defensively. The offense has been on fire. The Knicks putting up over 130 points in 3 straight games was amazing to see, and something that you never would have thought, watching our offense last season, you never would have thought something like that could be possible just 1 year in the future. But it really comes from the fact that the New York Knicks currently have the number 2 highest scoring bench unit in the league, and it comes from the additions of all those bench players that were added with Jordan Clarkson, with Landry Shamet coming back, with Yabusele getting added. I know he's not scoring. I know he's not really doing a whole lot, but he was added. Tyler Kolek stepping up into a bigger role this season and being more of a, I'm not saying he's being more of a factor. Let's call it that. Tyler Kolek stepping up, becoming more of a factor than a whole lot of Knicks fans. Really, every other Knicks fan that I talked to going to the season, we pretty much thought that Tyler Kolek could get cut at any moment and just nothing would change. But this season, with the injuries, Tyler Kolek has had to make it in and actually played pretty early in the opening game for Mike Brown, which was crazy to see. But we have extra opportunities for players even farther down on the bench, and we are ready for these players to step up and prove to Mike Brown that they are ready for the big time. When you have a new head coach coming in, that means a whole lot of roles are going to change, and those top players, their roles are not safe. So these guys like Ariel Hukporti, like Tyler Kolek, like even, Landry Shamet, these guys that have been historically bench players, they have an opportunity to come out and impress a new coach and prove to the coach that they deserve to get minutes over, someone like OG Anunoby or someone like whoever's going in for the center when Mitchell Robinson is going to inevitably miss games. We're going to be projecting Mitchell Robinson to miss more games. I know right now he's on that minutes restriction, playing more minutes every single night, but he's going to get hurt. It's going to happen. So we're going to have to find more ways to find guys deserving of the extra minutes that will be vacated by Mitchell Robinson when he does miss that time. OG Anunoby, you never know what's going to happen with lower body soft tissue injuries. Those injuries tend to linger. And unfortunately for OG Anunoby, it's not the first time that we've seen him dealing with a hamstring injury. Unfortunately, he just seems like a player who is more prone to that injury specifically, and it's something that maybe the team doctors can work on. I'm not a team doctor. I would not be able to advise anyone on how to keep your hamstring safe other than don't play. But of course, OG Anunoby is going to play basketball because we need to make sure that we are putting ourselves at least in a good position to go into the playoffs and have a good seed. I know seeding is a little bit overrated, and it just comes down to how well you play in the playoffs instead of where you're seated. But this team is going to play it safe with an injury like OG Anunoby, with an injury like Jalen Brunson, because it's all about the end of the season. It's not about wins and losses right now. The New York Knicks, a couple games over 500, and we're expecting to get at least, the 5 seed in the East. If not, should be higher, really should be higher. Currently, we are still the number 2 team in the East, so you would expect home court advantage throughout the playoffs. But we got to make sure we get there, and we have to make sure we get there healthy. So while Brunson's injured, while OG Anunoby is nursing this injury, there will be opportunities for other players to step up, and I can't wait to see which players from this New York Knicks roster are going to decide to step up into the limelight and show out at the Garden. But that's what I got for this video. If you stuck around this long, appreciate you taking your time to watch the video. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and go Knicks.